Next up, we have Sam Wright, the COO at SOAR with us. And he's going to talk to you about how to 10 times your creative strategy using AI. Sam, welcome to the stage. How's it going?
Hello. I'm very well. How are you?
Good. We're happy to have you here today. Do you want to pull up your slides? All right, Sam, the stage is all yours. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Tamana. Okay, I hope everyone is having a fantastic Thursday. But more importantly, I hope we've got seatbelts on because we're about to go on a wild ride. It's going to get very agentic. It's going to get super tactical because what we're going to be talking about today is how to 10x your creative strategy using AI. But it's also going to be led by principles and fundamentals. And it's something I'm really excited to talk about today because it's something we're actually using at the agency on a day-to-day basis. And these are tactics that you can really use to get ahead of the curve in such a fast changing landscape. Before I jump in, super quick intro. We are SOAR & Hamby. We're a bolt-on creative growth partner that works with some of the UK's biggest and most exciting D2C brands. We've got a great team full of talent that would love to grow your business because we certainly know how to scale brands. That's enough about us. So what you're going to know in 19 minutes, and we're going to have to move pretty fast here because we've got a lot to cover. Number one, how to merge proven frameworks with your ad account learnings in 7 minutes using Triple Whale. Number two, how to context engineer your way to a well-trained AI workflow. And then lastly, how to accelerate your pre-production creative output. So massive topics that we need to cover that are really controlling the number one variable that determines performance in an ad account, right? So it makes a ton of sense to focus here. I wanted to open this up by saying something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and it relates to leverage, because I think we're at a period in time where the point of leverage has changed. And how we've been working up to this point with our creative strategy looks like this, whereby fundamentals have always been the inputs that drive successful outputs, fundamentals like data, feedback, research, scripting, etc. And as this slide illustrates, the more weight that you put on fundamentals, the more likely it is that you're going to lift performance. But now we've got the power of AI, which has shifted that point of leverage. So up until recently, main points of leverage have been things like cash, capital, product. Whereas now you could argue AI is a product, but AI is something that mimics human intelligence. So when we leverage that, it's made it easier to get to those successful outcomes because the reduction of time and capital expenditure, but only if we lean on the right fundamentals, which is why I really wanted to highlight this, because if you take away the fundamentals from this, performance is going to drop. And this is where you see a lot of marketers going wrong. They are using AI, but not context engineering using the right fundamentals. And they're not doing that because it's pretty hard. Triple Whale plugs a massive gap there, which we're going to touch on shortly, because you've often got these fundamentals coming from different sources and it's hard to bridge that context gap, but there is a big solution and we're going to cover that now. So let's dive in. I wanted to start by breaking down the creative process into what makes it work in the first place. Like you would when an employee onboards, you make sure that they've got the right tools and context before they start, and any AI workflow is the same. You need to approach it with intention. When you break it down, you understand what the sources of context are. You've got things like first-party data, which is paid analytics, Shopify data, zero-party data being reviews, surveys, and then third-party data, anything that's coming from a third party, Reddit, TikTok, Trustpilot, where you gather those insights. And all these forms of data are pretty easy to extract, and we're going to break down how to do that in a moment. But then in the middle section, we've got this multiplier that really determines the effectiveness of this data. That's our strategy, which AI is really good at, given the right prompt. And then finally, you've got almost that human in the loop step, which is giving it a touch of intuition and curiosity, which I still think we need an element of for a little while anyway, until AI gets really advanced. But before we get into the details and into the source, I wanted to highlight the tooling that helped brought what I'm about to show you together. So we've obviously got Triple Whale AI agents, or Moby, as you just saw from Anthony there. You've got Claude Desktop, which is the LLM of choice, given its open source capabilities. And you've got something called Apify MCP, which is basically something that will allow Claude to communicate with tools, third-party tools, that will scrape platforms and give us insights. I'm not going to go too deep into the technical details of some of these because you can find a lot of it on YouTube. I want to keep it as relevant as possible. So the outcome, what are we actually trying to achieve here? What am I showing you? So what we're trying to achieve here is scripts, ad creative scripts done to an extremely high standard in little to no time or cost, because as we know, they are hard to put together. You've got to get data from various sources. And again, as Anthony said earlier, this can be super, super time consuming, and it can take humans. In fact, humans might not even be able to see some of the things that Moby AI can, which is why it's super important to leverage that data. And finally, what this will literally take 11 minutes. What I'm about to show you will take 11 minutes. So you can have this thing working in the background while you sleep. You can get up on Monday morning and you've got gold standard briefs ready for creators. It took 11 minutes and pretty much close to nothing. Okay. And then this is going to be how we're bringing everything together. So we're using Triple Whale and Claude to create the workflow. As I said, we're going to start with competitor research. We're going to watch and analyze and create frameworks based on our competitor research. We're going to combine this data with our ad account data in terms of what is working and why from our data. We're going to then combine everything. We're going to hypothesize and come up with concepts based on that. The reason why I think that's so powerful is because I've got a theory that I think about a lot as it relates to creative strategy. And I think 90% of creative strategy is about having a vehicle and a messenger that you put in the vehicle. I think the vehicle is something that grabs the attention. It's not necessarily the driver, the message. But when you open the door to the car of the vehicle, you start to understand more about who's driving the car. I'm only going to get in that car if I like the messenger, the driver. So when we're stealing flashy and proven frameworks from our competitors and combining that data with our proven messaging that we know converts, it's a recipe for success. But there's a step deeper to this, which is really, really valuable. I probably shouldn't be giving this away, to be honest, but this is where Claude comes in, and this is where we go really deep into the consumer psychology as it relates to a concept that we've created. So it's super powerful stuff. I'm going to get started now. So number one, we need to remove ourselves from analysis and use Triple Whale AI. From our previous step, we know that we need to be context engineering, and Triple Whale can provide this context very easily. Our two inputs are competitor ads and our ad account data. Now, what is happening here is we've fed Triple Whale 8 ads from different brands that are executed well, the frameworks, shop style, messaging strategy, etc. But the problem here is I knew they were great ads, but there's no help in that. We need to actually understand how and why they perform, and that's what this next step will do. But you can see here on the right, this is the flow that we have built out in Moby, so it's the behind the scenes of the output. And what's on the left is basically what's going on there. It's like the outcome that we want from each of these steps. And this is what we're asking it to do on the next step. We are asking it to go deep on breaking down the script and the shot list, the visual direction, the audio, absolutely everything that made up those competitor ads, those winning competitor ads. Then we're going to create a report based on that. So like someone would do when you might do this internally, if you've got a creative strategist that works for your business, they will run this research and then produce some form of report. Maybe it's just some loose bullet points, but what Triple Whale can do here is really, really done to a high standard. It's highly sophisticated. But what we're doing here is creating a winning template based on those competitor ads. And then we're able to fill in the blanks based on that template, based on that framework. You can see here, we've got I struggle with problem, so it can be applied to a wide range of products or niches. You can see there it's going deep into the before and after state, the conflict, the product reveal solution, backing that up with USPs, etc. So it's going very, very deep, and this comes from the prompt that we're using here. And then moving on to the data, so the data that we want to pull from our ad account. This is super, super important because this is where people get stuck in that context gap. They could be interacting with an LLM. The LLM has absolutely no idea what is working and why. And this fixes that problem. As you can see, we're going really, really granular with what it is pulling into the workflow. We've got top spenders in pretty much every single metric that will allow us to paint a really true picture of why it's working. And then next, it's going to watch them. So it's going to watch all of those videos. So not only does it now have the data, it can literally watch all of those ads and pair data with the visuals and the audio. And then finally, it's going to produce a report, again, similar to the competitor step. And the goal here is just extracting as many insights as possible, understanding the what and the why behind our performance. And it's really acting as context for this next step. Now, this next step, I'm asking it to hypothesize based on the two previous outputs, in terms of what it's received. And what the LLM is doing here, what Triple Whale is doing, is really powerful because it's essentially taking something that's worked, it's dissecting it, and then it's applying it to an already proven content vehicle. So like I said, with the content and the messenger, that's basically the theory that we're applying here with very practical terms. And here's an example of one of the outputs. And this is really, really good. I know this is good because I know what brand this relates to and I know exactly where it's got this from. So it's combined something that it's seen on a competitor side, which is that vehicle. It's the framework. It's what the concept actually is, with our winning messaging, with messaging that is working well in the ad account right now. So again, it's paired the messenger with the vehicle. But you might look at this and think it's basic, but let me tell you where the true beauty is, because you can take this to a whole new level. And you can do this in Triple Whale. You can do this in Triple Whale with a really good prompt, but I like to take it a level deeper. The concept here is essentially an on-the-street age guessing experiment concept, which I absolutely love because this is for a collagen product, and collagen will sell through messaging that's related to youthful looking skin, related to anything to do with looking great, looking young again. So it's taken that proven vehicle and put the message in it. But you might be looking at this and thinking, there's still some work to be done here. And yes, it is, because I didn't really want Triple Whale to produce me the script here. I just wanted a concept. I wanted to combine those two really high quality data sets and produce me a direction. I just want a direction to take here. And we aren't finished because we're only here. That isn't the final output. So what we need to do now is really add those finishing touches in. And this is where that third party data comes in. We've got the concept that's been crafted based on our ad account data and proven frameworks. We've got a narrative that we want to put we know what the narrative to pair with the vehicle. And like I said, you can leave it here. Like Triple Whale can get you very, very far when it comes to scripts. But like I said, I'm giving away all the juice. So next, we need to go deep. We need to understand everything about consumers. We want to understand their psychology, the tone of voice, what's really going to make them tick and convert. And this is where Claude comes in. So it'd obviously be silly just to give Claude the script and expect it to come up with some magic. We need to create an environment where it can thrive through context engineering. And that's what we're going to be doing here. So this is the environment that we're creating for Claude. We're going to give it access to what customers are actually saying on Trustpilot. We're going to give it detailed project instructions so it knows what to do. And when we give it a prompt, it will know how to receive that input and what to do using that input. And we're going to give it tools to be able to scrape Reddit and TikTok autonomously. And then finally, the prompt, which is just concept. So that's the environment that we're creating here. Now, how to set this up, we're going to be implementing the Apify MCP server. Again, I don't want to go too much into the details here. It's very, very easy to set up. There's plenty of YouTube videos online, but this is a critical step if you want to communicate with third-party tools like Reddit. We're going to run the Trustpilot customer research, upload it to the project. This is really high-quality data because it's come from the customer's mouth. Very high-quality data. We're going to create the system instructions, and then we're going to watch the magic happen. So, running the Trustpilot research, again, my Claude has got access to Trustpilot. So I can just say, run Trustpilot research for this brand, and it will conduct really comprehensive research. Because we want Claude going into this project with as much context as possible. And when that context has come from the customer, the people that are going to be buying these products, super, super high quality data set. But like I said, the prerequisite to this is having the Apify MCP. I will touch on it a little bit more shortly. Once we've run the research, we're going to upload it to the project like this. So it's got that as context, and Claude can then query that. Super simple if you use Claude or GPT. And then we're going to tell it how to behave. So just to recap, we've got data taken from customers. We've synthesized all of those reviews and extracted psychological trigger points. We've given this to Claude as context. Now this is where the tooling comes in. So you can see here, I have access to loads of tools, and the Apify tools there are basically scrapers where I can say, go to Reddit, scrape this topic, go to TikTok, scrape this topic, go to Facebook, do whatever you need to do. But Reddit is my go-to because you've got people on there that will literally talk about anything. Super, super high quality data and really applicable for creative strategy. And what Claude will now do, because I've given it the tools, in agentic fashion, it can head over to Reddit and determine the topic that it wants to search. I'm not even telling it what to search. It will do this for me because it has context on the concept that Triple Whale created us earlier. Hopefully you're still following. So now we have all the previous points. We've got Claude now acting as an agent, calling tools, using queries to get to our desired outcome. Okay. So, like I said earlier, use project instructions, but use them like you're talking to an employee. Define what you want it to do, how you want it to do it. So, for example, we're asking it here to transform concepts into scripts based on context through the research, or conduct tool calling using those MCP tools. And we've told it exactly what the inputs are. We've basically told it exactly what the outputs are. I'm going to show you this in action in a sec. So now we've got the above points. And now Claude knows exactly what to do and how it should do that, including using the tools. So you can see here, this is really, really strong context engineering. So now we've done that, it's time to watch the magic unfold. So what we are doing here is we are giving it the concept that we got from Triple Whale. Claude will analyze the concept based on our instructions and determine the most relevant topic to research on Reddit. A concept here was based on aging. So you can see Claude has decided to research how people feel when someone tells them they look older than they are. And as you can imagine, it's going to pull out some like really valuable emotional data that people are talking about. And another thing that I love about this is, if the video played again, which I'll get it to do now, you can actually see Reddit, you can actually see Claude correcting itself. It felt like it didn't have enough valuable data and it went and searched for another topic. And it's doing this because I've told it to do that in the project instructions. And then based on that data, like you can see here, it's analyzed the language patterns that people are using. It's using those emotional anchors, extracting certain forms of language that it thinks will fit into our script based on that concept. And then it will begin creating the script. So it's got the concept, now it can begin creating that script using all of that research, and the result is fantastic. And the result is really, really good. I know because I'm very close to this account that it's created it for. You can see there the storytelling is perfect. It said right at the top there, this experiment is going to make me cry, it's saying there. I did something I was terrified to do. This is really good storytelling. It's building curiosity. And we can see that it's pulled this straight from Reddit. This is a really high quality data set, and we can have super high confidence in this because, again, we've got the vehicle, we've got the message, and now we've dug deeper into the people that have these problems, people that are talking about these problems openly. We're now using their messaging, we're using the language and tone of voice that they communicate in, and the output was really, really strong. And then it can even send it to Notion. Like, guys, you can send this to Slack, you can send it to Notion. This is all in 11 minutes. This would take hours to do usually. And you can see there, it uploaded that script to Notion, very much ready to send straight to the UGC creator. And all of this was done in 11 minutes oh, sorry, it was 10 minutes, not even 11 minutes. And I don't even know how much time this would take, because the amount of data that it got from Reddit would take hours to crunch. The amount of data that it extracted from Triple Whale, again, it would take hours. And even competitor research as well, it would take hours. So you can imagine in the back of your mind how much this would cost when thinking about an employee doing this, and it cost us less than £1.50. There was a lot that we ran through there, very, very tactical. I do want to end on one point, which is remember the principles and the foundations. You can't forget them. And I've seen a lot of people go wrong here. You need to build up that context, spend a lot of time thinking about that, and then approach your workflows. And I'll be breaking everything down on our LinkedIn. We're going to post that next week, all the prompts and how to set everything up. But that's everything.